Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. If your name is Dan or Colin, it's your lucky day. Actually, it's probably not, because we've probably got multiple Dans and Collins listening, and it's only the lucky day for one of each. But we have got 2 property questions being answered today. We'll be doing that in just a sec. But whether your name is Dan or Colin or something else entirely, you can send your own question in. Rob, how does it work?
You can leave us a voicemail by calling 013 808 0035, or you can go to propertyhub.net/ask and leave us a question via the web. Both super simple. And it obviously is, because we're hundreds of episodes into this now. So let's get to our first question, which comes in from Dan.
Hi there, my name's Dan. I'm an existing small portfolio landlord. I've got 4 properties, including the one that I live in. They're not massively leveraged, and I've got a fair bit of combined equity. I'm not sure exactly how much, and I was just wondering if there's a way I can figure out how close I am to the financial freedom I'm looking for. Thanks.
Dan, thank you for your question. And I can't answer you, is the truth. And if you ask this question of anybody, nobody could give you a good answer either. People could answer, but unless they know you, your circumstances, they won't be able to say, oh, you're 2 years, 4 months, or whatever you want to hear away from financial freedom. What you need to do is have a better framework of approaching this. So the first question I would be asking myself if I was you is, what do I want? And what people want is very different. Financial freedom is quite simple to say, but it means very different things to everybody individually. Because for some people, it might be being able to work part-time on things they enjoy. For others, it may be that they want to travel the world. For others, that they may want to start up a Formula One team. That's quite expensive. So people's definition of financial freedom is going to change depending on their lifestyle. And that includes where you live, the size of your family, the activities you want to pursue, your age. So many factors that impact that decision. But don't just pick a random number. Don't just go, oh, I want to earn $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month, wherever your number is. Don't just pick one out at random, because it won't really mean anything to you. Work out, okay, for me to achieve a dream, and let's just say that's retirement, how much per month am I going to need from my property portfolio to achieve that retirement? And then you've got a number. Once you've got a number, you can then look at your existing portfolio and look at the profit that's generating and see how close you are to that number. Now, depending on your goal, you might already be there. And wow, that's amazing. Chances are you're not, but that's okay. At least now you understand the destination point and where you are, and just see the future playing out now as following a map. You just need to build your portfolio to a point where you reach that end destination. And you should be able to make better decisions now, knowing exactly what you want and how much more income you need to achieve to reach your goal. Now, if you want to level this up a little bit further, you can put a time frame on it and say, okay, well, this is my financial freedom goal. I'm at this starting point. It's taken me X number of years to get to this starting point. I'd like to think I can accelerate things now because I've got a bit of a portfolio. So I'm going to get to my end point in X number of years. That also helps keep you focused and motivated, because just having a goal and not really thinking about how long it's going to take you can be demotivating after a while. The initial excitement will fade and you'll just feel like you're not making progress. So do that, and then also put some time aside each year to do a little review and go, okay, where am I up to? Personally, I like to reflect and review around Christmas, New Year time. It's an obvious time to do it, but it's up to you. You can do it now if you want. And then just say, okay, here's where I wanted to be against my goals, which includes your financial freedom goal. And here's the progress I've made this year. Because actually, if you just stop on a day-to-day level, you don't feel like you're making any progress. But if you look back at a whole year and see what's been done, hopefully you will be able to see some movement. Dan, there's plenty more I could say, but start with that basic framework I've given you, and then you will be a lot more successful as a property investor moving forward.
Okay, loads for Dan and many people, I'm sure, to think about there. Let's see what we can do next for Colin.
Hi, Rob and Rob. My name's Colin. My business partner and I have been listening to you weekly for the last 18 months. We've gone through pretty much the whole back catalogue since. Thanks to the podcast and the invaluable content we've devoured so far, we've managed to kick off our property investing journey by buying a property with a large garden. We've split the title, sold the house with a small garden, and currently have the remaining garden as a building plot with outline planning under offer with a view to completing in the coming months. We're currently underway with our first buy-to-let investments in the form of 2 off-market properties in the northwest, both of which have a tenant in situ. Our offers have been accepted and lending has been secured. One tenant has been there for 2.5 years and the other has been there for 8 months. Both properties are managed by a local agent who has managed both of these properties and more for over 10 years. Buying with tenants in situ can seem like an attractive option because you're up and running with income from day one. But if it were that easy, why isn't everybody doing it? We have a checklist in place that we think covers off the most important points to make ourselves aware of when buying with tenants in situ. But I'd be keen to hear what your top 5 tips, or maybe more, would be when buying in this situation. This would be of great help to us, and I'm sure would be useful for others looking to do the same. Thanks for all the smashing content today, and I look forward to hearing your top tips.
Colin, thank you for your question. It sounds like you're super organised already, but it's always worth being a bit more organised. So I'll see if there's anything that I can add. Firstly, buying with tenants in situ can be a really great thing. Why isn't everyone doing it? Well, many properties just aren't sold that way. Many vendors want their property to be appealing as widely as possible, so they will sell it with vacant possession so owner-occupiers could buy it too. Some investors don't like buying with tenants in place because it's seen as more complicated. But like you said, what's not to like? You get income from day one if you do it properly. So you wanted a top 5 tips. Let's see if I can do that for you. So number 1, look at the rental history. Make sure that payments are up to date. Make sure there's no arrears. Make sure that payments are made on time and it's not erratic. Number 2, see if that rent that's being charged currently is near the market level. If it is, then great. If it's not, that's just something to think about because, well, if you want to achieve that market level, how are you going to do that? If you come in and you try to suddenly jack the rent up dramatically, chances are that tenant is either going to be unwilling or unable to pay it, and so you might lose them. Or are you willing to keep it at a lower level and work it up gradually over time, perhaps? So not a warning sign, just something to think about. Number 3, make sure that everything is compliant in terms of how the tenancy's been set up. You should be able to see the proof that the deposit has been protected, that gas certs have been served, all that kind of thing. Get all this documentation because as soon as a transaction completes, all of this becomes your problem. And so if there's anything that needs to be sorted out, it's best to know about it. Number 4, make sure your solicitor apportions the rent correctly. This is something that I see go wrong quite a lot. Basically, if the rent is paid on the 1st of the month and you complete on the 15th of the month, then you're owed half a month's rent. And that should be on the completion statement. That money should come over to you, or rather be offset against the purchase price of the property. And number 5, make sure that the tenant changes their standing order or however they pay to get the rents paid across to you, because if they make a payment to the previous agent or landlord, it can be a right pain to get it back again. So make sure as soon as you take ownership, you make contact, you get it updated so the rents come to you. You also get the deposit moved across, and so that is in your DPS account or whichever scheme you use rather than the previous person's. Then everything else can wait. You can think about new tenancy agreements and all that kind of thing, but all that can be in the future. If you do everything I've just talked about, that means that you are then pretty well set up. Everything's taken care of. You're not stored up any problems for the future, and everything else can wait. So there you go. Hope that is helpful for you, Colin. Thank you for your question. And that's it for today. We're going to be back with 2 more questions next Tuesday. But of course, before then, we're going to be back with the Property Podcast on Thursday. Looking forward to seeing you for that one. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.